Welcome back to another episode of Across the Diamond brought to you by Diamond Prospect Media. I'm Kennedy Hale, Central Florida Area Scout, and joining me as always, West Florida Area Scout Jet Rosenstein and our scouting director, Mr. Mike Merritz. How are you guys doing today?
Doing
Pretty
good,
good.
man.
Thank you for having me.
Sounds good. Well, let's get right into it and start recapping some of last week's games. Mike, how was the Stoneman Douglas St. Thomas Aquinas game? Those are two big teams right there, two big names.
Yes, absolutely. And there was definitely some firepower in this matchup. And I'll kind of expand a little bit on Jay Clemente of Stoneman Douglas later on, when we kind of chat in regards to the draft perspective. But man, he had quite a game, not only running his fastball up to 97 miles an hour, but he hit a laser over the left center wall for a solo home run later in the game. 2022 grad, tall, long frame, a lot to project on. And wow, he really kind of put the team on his back and made his impact felt in a number of ways throughout that game. And then one of our guys that we talked about a little bit earlier last week was our friend Roman Anthony, 2022 grad, outfielder, again, made an impact offensively. Solo bomb way over the right field wall. I mean, it was gone as soon as he hit it. Big celebration when he came in, obviously to the plate, and this game was really kind of in Stoneman Douglas's hands throughout the entire affair. And just to kind of cap it off, later on in the game, Santiago Ordonez, who's an FSU commit, had a rope to the left side of the infield for an RBI single. So we're going to be talking about Stoneman Douglas probably a lot, to be honest with you, Kennedy, throughout the season because they're just that type of unit. They can come at you in a number of ways, and their lineup is potent throughout the entire lineup. I mean, that's just what you can say about it. And they have the pitching to carry them, a long way.
When you're a state champion, I mean, you deserve to get it talked about as much as they are for sure.
Yes.
And for myself, I went and saw the Apopka University game this past Friday night. Started out going University's way. Bryce Swindle, the left-handed pitcher and outfielder as well, homers from the right-hand side, going switch hand at the plate, takes it over the left center wall to get them started. After that, Apopka starts to get into it again, come back to tie the game with a man we've highlighted recently in this past episode, Anthony Devito, going with the sack RBI and the out and an error as well. University started to come and pull away again, scoring another 2 runs as well via 2022 middle infielder Andrew Corcus, a guy who we've all seen at some events as well during the summer this year and in the past. Excuse me, coming up this year. And to close out the game, Anthony Devito drove in a run with a triple coming in late in the game. And then he went on to score the game-winning run in the bottom of the 6th inning to take the game 5-4.
Wow, that Anthony DeVita, that's twice in a row now. I think that you've mentioned him. He's been, up to 85 on the mound with a great breaking ball as well. But he's really kind of stepped up in the couple of times you've seen him on offense, huh?
Oh, for sure. Both of the, I want to say with him and Swindle, those are two-way follows that I definitely am going to keep a closer eye on going forward. After I saw him swing it from the right-hand side and get a homer, I was like, okay, once you see a pitcher rake, you kind of got to pay attention to it. So I was like, I'm going to keep an eye on this going forward.
Yeah.
And Jet, you went to the J.W. Mitchell Lando Lakes game, correct?
Yeah, this is my second time seeing J.W. Mitchell in action this year. The first game was part of some preseason action, but these two teams, the Gators and the Mustangs, they were playing for the second consecutive game, and the Gators coming into this game are trying to avenge their blowout loss to J.W. Mitchell over in Land O'Lakes several nights back. But the story really in this game was pitching and defense on both sides, and it really all started off with 2022 pitcher, first baseman Jace Troutner. He went 5 innings, no hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 9 Ks. He was dominating from the get-go, looked in control. He had the Gators lineup off balance, commanding every level of the zone, and the confidence was exuded from start to finish in this one. His line on the season so far, he's given up 0 earned runs and 14 Ks and 8 2/3 innings pitched. Great season for him for the Indian River State College commit, and definitely one of those two guys that I'll be keeping an eye on going forward. As for the JW Mitchell lineup, in the first inning, that's really where they got all of their production. They scored 3 runs. Started off with an Aidan Miller hit. Aidan Miller obviously going to be a big name to keep an eye on, as he is one of those guys that we could see drafted in very soon. He's been off to a very scorching hot start to begin play in 2022. He's batting 615 with 4 RBIs. Natural power makes it look easy. That physical presence and overall game really complements his full set of tools in his toolbox. He had 2 hits in this game. Every time he steps to the plate, it's definitely must see TV. He got the rally started in the first inning, along with Hayden Cockman, who was off to a very great start as well. The College of Central Florida commit had a nice 2-strike swing the other way. Extremely strong lower half. It comes in handy behind the plate and at the plate. Quick hands, and he's part of this JW Mitchell middle of the order that is really starting to give the opposing pitchers. They're starting to wreak havoc on opposing pitchers, no matter who the team that they're facing is. But really, after that, I mean, got to give a little bit of credit to the Gators pitching staff. Although they couldn't get any offensive production going, they were really able to limit the Mustangs' bats. After the first inning, JW Mitchell only had 4 hits on the game, while the Gators had 2. And yeah, the story really was pitching and defense, and I'm excited to see where some of these names, how they progress as we get farther into the season.
For sure, man. Definitely something to look at. I'm excited to see more Aidan Miller video as well. I know we're going to be breaking down a lot more as this podcast keeps going. All right, Mike, rounding us out, excuse me. Calvary Christian versus Tampa Catholic. How was it?
Phew, man, this was quite a strong showing here out of the Warriors. They visited Tampa Catholic, and right out of the gate, 2023 right-hand pitcher Landon Morales of the Warriors was really feeling it. He was running his fastball up to 93, complemented the curveball really well, generating some swings and misses, obviously getting ahead in the account, and the pure athleticism is there. And he's one of those NC State commits that, we talked Tommy Tanks last week. He's another one that's going to be really interesting down the line because as well as he played on the mound, he went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs too at the plate. So he's a legit two-way threat. Makes his a top of the lineup hitter. So Landon can really change the game in a lot of different ways, and he started it all for them. And following right behind him was 2023 right-hand pitcher Liam Peterson. And in 3 innings of relief, he struck out 8 batters, allowed no hits, no runs, no walks. Absolutely dominant, blowing it by the Crusaders lineup up to 93 as well. And it felt every bit of 93. A lot of 92s, 93s, another really above average curveball that he complemented well, and occasionally had a mid-A's changeup that he would mix in there. But I mean, it was just swing and miss all throughout that lineup once Liam came in, and he pretty much closed it down. Matt Rose was another key cog in the offense for the Warriors. They only had a 1-0 lead through 4 innings by way of a bunt that got him on the board, but the final score would end up being 10-1. And Matt Rose delivered 2 run-scoring hits, including a ball that was just laced over the center fielder's head for a RBI double. And the USF commit, we've seen him quite a bit over the past few years. If there's one thing that we know that he knows how to do, it's delivering the key spot from an offensive perspective. Always seems to be right on line, get the big hit when it's needed. And he's someone that, especially at the next level, will be someone that is going to be, a consistent difference maker in the lineup for USF. You can trust him to get the hit when you really need it. And just rounding that out there was a 2024 catcher by the name of Andrew Tess at the top of the lineup as well for Calvary. There's a lot of potential there. The hands are really quick through the zone, athleticism. So Calvary Christian not only has some guys that are up level, from a junior and senior standpoint, but they have some really good younger prospects on there too. So Calvary Christian's another one where this is not going to be the last time we hear them, and we're going to hear about them quite a bit more. And they can be expected to probably make a deep run towards the playoffs because, as we touched on with Stoneman Douglas, when you have the pitching staff to do it, get you deep into the games, get you the big outs, get you where you need to go, that's really the name of the game.
Couldn't agree with you more there, man. Couldn't agree with you more. All right, and before we pivot a little bit, looking forward to games for next week. A quick channel shout out to our actual own YouTube as well. If you guys want to see any highlights from these videos, along with more that you'll see from our social media pages, be sure to look out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is completely free as well. You'll see various playlists also, like high school season coverage, MLB draft prospects, and even stuff from individual travel teams as well during the summer. So be sure to subscribe, drop a like, and be on the lookout for more content in the future. All right, and looking forward to our
Well
schedule a
said.
little bit for later this week. Yes, sir. We're going to be looking at the Lake Mary Rams again, Mike. Me and you. We don't go to many games together. This will be an interesting one.
Yeah, and here's what I'll have to say about that Lake Mary team is they had quite an offensive showing last week, and they have a couple of guys near the top of their lineup, and we'll touch on him a little bit later on. But Andy Perez is a spark plug out of the top of the lineup.
Hmm.
I know there's a couple guys that you like as well. Another pitcher that stands out for them is Colin Mccall. He seems to always be able to go deep into games for them, generate a lot of swings and misses, rack up the strikeouts, induce some weak flyouts, weak ground balls. But he's someone that really can come in and get the job done. But yeah, who are a couple other kids that you're going to be looking out for?
Definitely Andrew White as well is another one, the outfielder. Of course, you got to pay attention to Ryan Ashford as well, the left-hander Miami commit. But as you get into the middle of that order, you get into a good rhythm of guys who just have a great combination of power and feel for the barrel that they can tack on runs in a hurry and really make you pay for it if you're not on your toes.
Yeah, well said. And one of the things that we actually were able to do Friday night was one of their own, Connor Bear. His dad, Robert Bear, unfortunately passed away later last year. So they actually had Connor come out and throw the first pitch, kind of a ceremony in honor of his dad. So we wanted to just make sure we kind of include that on this episode today. We actually obviously hope the best for everyone there, and we thought it was a great gesture by the Lake Mary Rams to have Connor come out and do that for his dad.
Definitely some very touching stuff there.
Yep,
Bigger than the game. At the end of this, we're all
yep,
people.
yep.
All right. And I will also be looking at a Apopka later this week as well. One a week. That's what the doctor says. One Apopka game a week. Keep you regular. Everything moving smoothly. Anthony Devito, I can't say enough about him, really. He's been riding a hot streak, getting to the plate, and also showing up on the mound a little bit as well. You said up to 85 earlier, Mike.
Yep.
Schuyler Stinson is another one, an arm they have on the mound, quick, whippy arm. His rotation rate is just so high. The kid can really spin it. And I like Apopka's defense as well. Jacob Meyer looked very solid in their last showing against University. Definitely look to see more from him coming up as well as we go later into the week and the season as well. And Mike, you actually have a pair of Westminster games this week also.
Yeah, and this is just helping rounding out some of our South Florida coverage that we've been really kind of adding to the fray. Obviously, seeing some guys doing Douglas, Taravella, St. Thomas Aquinas right out of the gate here, but there's one kid that I think we really want to look out for here, and that's Julian Irizarry, and I think I got that last name right, spelling or saying it. So I think I'm right on there, but we've seen him at the CBU tryouts actually earlier this year, and the left-handed pop is really there from a offensive perspective. I mean, the hands are extremely quick through the zone. It's very whippy, and when he finds the barrel, it can really go a long way. So, along with kind of getting acclimated with some of the other players on that lineup, he's the one player that we're going to have some really interest in as we kind of check them out throughout the week.
Darjet, as always, thanks for coming on, man. Can't wait to see you on the next episode.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
All right, and last up of our coverage for next week, we got St. John's Country Day. Mike, this is another team we're going to be hearing about from the North Florida area. What are you looking forward to seeing?
Well, these guys had quite a run last year in regards to the playoffs, and I expect them to have a strong season and look to avenge the opportunity to make it all the way down to Fort Myers for states. And man, Kennedy, there are two players on this team, and both seniors, 2022 grads, that are going to be ones that are going to continue to stay in the MLB draft follow perspective. And the first one that I'll bring up is 2022 grad Jordan Taylor, outfielder, also right-handed pitcher, committed to Florida State. Really, really loud tools. I mean, he can run it up to 91, 92 on the mound. The ball absolutely jumps off his bat when he's on time and in rhythm. Uh, easy power, gap to gap. And his arm. I mean, I'm not kidding you here. There was a play last year where there was a relatively well hit ground ball up the middle, and he was playing center field, and he threw the kid out at first. I don't know if I've really ever seen that too often, but to see that happen in front of my eyes, it was like one of those things where you see the kid and you remember that, and that's just something special. And on the other side, for them is 2022 left-hand pitcher Bradley Hodges, who's committed to Virginia, and he's a low 90s guy, but he creates a really good angle when he's delivering. A lot of off balance swings, induces some weak ground balls to the right side of the plate, and he's very crafty. He'll get you to swing at some pitches outside the zone. He can really run a strikeout total up because he has the ability to really work in and outside of the zone and make the batter really uncomfortable throughout the entire at bat. So those are two. There's obviously some other difference makers on those teams, but honestly, those two are really kind of a couple that I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Most definitely. And as always, we look forward to seeing all the players and all the teams that we're looking to see this upcoming week. And looking forward a little bit more so, this upcoming June 15th at Lake Brantley High School, we'll be having the Diamond Prospect Media Central Florida Summer 2022 Showcase. Registration is currently open for 2023 and 2026 grads. 2023 through 2026, not just those two classes.
Everybody, come on in.
Yeah. Just 23s and 26s, nothing else. No, I'm kidding. It will feature a pro style workout along with bullpens, and this is just a great way to get an updated video with your stats going into the upcoming fall for this next year and having something to send out to a bunch of different college coaches and coordinators.
Absolutely. And the way it's set up, Kennedy, and we did this in a specifically kind of designed it that way, is June 15th. It's the middle of the week. It's on a Wednesday. We'll start in the morning. We'll be done by 1 or 2 p.m. We'll have the position guys go through a pro style workout. The pitchers will have a 15 pitch bullpen. We're not here to kind of burn everybody out. We know that they still have some big kind of events to go through for the rest of the summer, but this is an opportunity to come in, get what you need. We'll give you your video. Obviously, with us, we put all of our stuff on the YouTube channel, and it's free to subscribe. So anybody that comes to our event not only be outfitted in some of the gear like this, but they'll get their video back. They'll be able to use it. They'll be able to get it out there. So there's not a disconnect when we're trying to get it to these coaches, because that's the most important thing: is do we have the ability to get it to the right people and the decision makers?
Of course, man. And trust me, with this good looking gear, you're going to want everybody to see these videos, okay?
Lake Brantley always looks well on video too. We've done it there a couple times, and Coach
hmm
Eric is great. Always sets us up there, so it's a great environment, and it's a really a terrific way for any player through the 2023 to 2026 class to come in, get what you need, and let's work together here to make sure it's a great summer.
Of course, man. And rounding up the pod, one of everyone's favorite segments, looking a little bit ahead at some MLB draft coverage. One of the first guys we're going to be breaking down a little bit is someone you've just seen this previous week, Jake Clemente.
Wow, we talked about Jake to start this pod, and now we kind of get to dig in a little bit from the draft perspective. And he was someone that we've obviously seen before, CBU guy. So we've had the opportunity to, well, as we mentioned earlier, make a difference on offense and on the mound. But obviously, the real draft projection upside is on the mound. 93 to 95 throughout that game, running it up to 97. So there's a lot there to be had. 6'4", 210. So very projectable, your ideal, pitcher's body. And as we know, the way he can swing it, there's a lot of above average athleticism. And what we're seeing with a lot of different arms today is that it's not just the guy that can throw off the mound anymore. He has some athleticism. He can make
Hmm.
the plays off the mound. He can, be a difference maker, at any part of any inning to, get himself in a more comfortable spot from where he's trying to work in and out of the zone, whether he's trying to get the batter to hit it the other way and into the coverage and into the shift, anything like that. But, he's one of those kids that there's a tremendous amount of upside. And yeah, he's hitting 97, but there's probably more in there. So from a draft perspective, that's obviously very, very intriguing.
Of course, man. And another arm as well to round it out, Mr. Malachi Witherspoon.
Phew. Well, I'll tell you, Malachi had quite a performance to kind of start the week. He's another one. He's a Jacksonville commit, so North Florida kid, and he was he was dominant in his outing. 10 strikeouts through 5 innings of work. So two thirds of the time these kids were striking out by way of what he was throwing at them. Very physical, 6'2", 215. The lower half is very strong, and he's another one that he can really swing it too. He had an RBI double that was roped over the center fielder's head. So it's good to see that there's a lot of these arms that are showing, hey, I'm not just someone that can throw it too. I'm someone that is an athlete who can make a difference too. And the biggest thing about Malachi was not only that he ran his fastball up to 94 miles an hour, was that his slider was at 2,900 RPM. And anytime that you're approaching 3K territory with your RBM on a breaking pitch, wow. And it was every bit of what you would imagine with a high spin rate with a pitch like that. A lot of just hard breaks, really a lot of off bound swings. And it was almost like, after the second or third inning, once these guys had 2 strikes on them, it was like, no, this at bat's probably over because he had such a feel for it. And when he was on with that pitch. So obviously, there's a lot to like there. Physical kid, athleticism. So he's going to be a North Florida kind of prospect that these pro scouts are going to continue to have their eye on. No doubt about it.
For sure, man. I feel like it's been like a Baskin Robbins type of episode with arms. We've got guys who can hit, run it up on the mound, bunch of athleticism as well. Whatever you're looking for, we've got a little bit of everything. I love what we got going right now.
Good way to put it.
Definitely. So now we're going to pivot a little bit into some Mike's likes. First man up for that, Mr. Bradley Link.
Yeah. This is one that maybe needs a little bit more attention as we move forward here. 2023 grad, committed to Richmond, and I'm just going to keep highlighting on what you just said. The previous week, he had 3 home runs in one week, and he's running his fastball up to 93 on the mound now. So there's you love to see it. You love to see players be athletic, make a difference for their team. That's
Hmm.
what baseball is all about at the end of the day. You're really trying to be whatever the team needs for you to earn the win. That's what it's all about. And Bradley Link, while he's, homer in those amount of games, he's been pretty dominant on the mound. 90 to 92, touching 93, hard slider. The other night had 8 strikeouts and 3.1 innings pitched. So, I think that, doesn't leave too much else for getting outs wise. So he's another one that's generated a lot of swings and misses. And you can tell he's putting a lot of hard work over the offseason. The arm's compact and quicker now, so it gets through,
Hmm.
on his delivery. And it looks like he's put on about 20 or 25 pounds. And the biggest thing that you've noticed is his lower half. His lower half is a lot stronger. It's allowing him to get down the mound. And it looks like it's translated offensively as well because the ball's going over the fence.
Most definitely, man. Could not agree with you more right there. Next man we got up right now, great top of the order kid and Andy Perez out of Lake Mary.
Yes, Andy Perez is. It feels like this. If we had to maybe title this episode, it would be all about athleticism. It seems like because Andy is another one, and we've had a chance to see him all throughout the summer, all throughout the fall. He's a catcher and he's got a rocket from behind the plate, but we've seen him play middle infield too. So
Hmm.
Andy's one of those kids where he goes and he can really play anywhere for you. Obviously, he's quite a difference maker behind the plate, and his strong arm allows him to throw guys out. But he's also a top of the order guy, leadoff hitter. And at the game we were at last week, he had a pair of base hits, including one to start the game, line drive into right field. And when you have someone like that at the top of your lineup that you can really kind of rely on to give you a good chance to get on base, it only helps the rest of the lineup flow. So Andy's a kid, 2024 grad, that is really making a difference for that Lake Mary Rams lineup and should be high on, the follow list of any uncommitted 2024 backstop that you're looking for.
That team definitely has a lot of offensive firepower, and he has been a catalyst time and time again to just get on the base and get something going for his teammates.
Yeah. Yeah.
And rounding us out today, Mr. Christian Rodriguez out of Stoneman Douglas.
Yep. Another arm out of Stoneman Douglas. And
Mm-hmm.
he's ran his fastball up to 97 miles an hour too, and came in relief of Clemente the other night. Obviously, after dealing with him and then seeing someone like Christian Rodriguez come right afterwards is not easy for any lineup to really have to deal with on that aspect. But the biggest thing with Christian is his changeup is filthy. I mean, it is falls completely off the table. He's got similar fastball arm speed, so it is a weapon, and he's another one. We're really gonna have to call this podcast what it is. I mean, Christian can swing it too. Christian
He really
is
can.
another guy that can hit gap to gap as well. And sure, we know where his upside is on the mound, and it's up to 97. But like I said earlier, the biggest thing you like to see is these guys making a difference in a number of ways, even if we know that, hey, this guy's probably an arm at the end of the day. But Christian Rodriguez, I mean, he's another one, along with, how we were talking about a number of these guys earlier. Circle his name on a draft prospect list, perspective from the 2023 class. Him, right along with Landon Morales and Liam Peterson, who we talked about earlier. I mean, these are some big time talents.
Of course, man. Definitely a name to keep circled going into next year. I'm sure we'll just have more and more video to keep going.
Yeah.
And rounding out the pod today is our college player of the week. Now, this man, Mike, riding a 10-game hitting streak. None other than Mr. Jamie Ferrer out of Florida State.
Yeah, and we've seen him quite a bit, and I know you have too, in his high school career. And I think the biggest thing with him is that he's taken himself from a physicality standpoint, and he's really had to translate to the field offensively. And he's just, let's call it what it is. He's a confident hitter up there. You know that when he steps into the box, hey, he's up there thinking, hey, I'm going to get a hit here, and I'm going to make something happen here. And I mean, we saw that time and time again at the high school level. So it's really crazy to see how some of the first guys we've come out of the gate here have been Tommy Tanks, freshman, and then Ferrer. I mean, it goes to show you that some of these kids now that are moving to the next level are ready to go, and they're ready to make an impact, and that can be on some of the highest stages. So for these kids to be able to do that, it shows a lot about their inner confidence and the hard work that they've put in. Because if you're going to be in the lineup, you're not going to be there just because. You're going to be there because you're going to make a difference.
Most definitely. A little bit of credit to these youth level organizations as well, being able to get these guys ready. Tommy Tanks right now looks like a man against boys. He can go in the majors and play. And to see him just come from being, a young kid, just putting in work with your coaches day in and day out. It is something really special, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
All right. Well, that's the episode. Thanks to everyone who gave us a watch. Make sure to like, listen, subscribe, and be on the lookout next week when we have another pod. Thanks for watching.